So I think the marriage advance tip is to, in those, when you're having those intimate conversations, to seek understanding first, before trying to provide advice or trying to provide a solution.
Or get your point across.
Yeah, but I think it's more like if I'm curious and I'm trying to get an understanding of where you're coming from, you're trying to get an understanding of me, then that way we can then, once we get that understanding, we can come up with a solution, or I can give you advice.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because if we ask those questions, I really know where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. I know if you want advice or not.
Yeah.
Or it could have been like you just wanted me to understand where you were coming from.
Okay.
Because it's a whole nother thing. But I think I know that if you just seek an understanding, and if it's getting heated, I would ask yourself, what about what is being said that is making me feel this way, making me feel attacked? Okay. Because the majority of the time, your partner is not trying to attack you, right? Y'all are in this together.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling attacked, what is that?
Yeah.
And it can be in the middle of that conversation, be like, wait, hold on, let's just pause, because I'm starting to feel attacked.
Yeah.
Now I need to know, and it's like in that moment seeking clarification. Like, so are you challenging me? Like, or are you trying to like push? Like, what's going on here?
Gotcha. Okay, no, you're right.
Because we can't, and that helps in keeping the main thing. I feel like this advanced tip is just adding on to it. But it helps keep the main thing, because if I'm feeling attacked, then I'm getting defensive, and then I might then hit below the belt, and now we're spiraling, right?
Yeah, instead
of addressing, hey, I'm feeling attacked, or even if hey, I see you sound like you're getting defensive.
Yeah.
So let's just pause, like, what's going on with that? Yeah. Like, addressing that to then be able to talk about the main thing.
Gotcha.
So,
no, that's good.
This is the B-side, the marriage. This is the B-side, the marriage.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the B-Side of Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Rashonda, and this is my husband and co-host,
Jason.
And here at the B-Side, we talk about everything related to marriage. The good, the bad, the real, the A, and the B-side. So if you're joining us, watching us on the YouTubes and all the other things, no, you can only watch us on YouTube. I don't know what other things are. Anyways, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, all the things. And if you're listening on any of the audio platforms, please be sure to do the same.
As well, I said watch.
See?
Follow us on Facebook at the B-Side of Marriage, as well as on Instagram at B-Side of Marriage.
Now listen, y'all. We really need y'all to like and write reviews and comment. Like, we need to know y'all out there watching, okay? Because we want to make sure that our podcast is able to be seen by, a larger audience. Mm-hmm. Want to make sure that, we're getting that visibility, because we really think that we're sharing some good stuff. So if you feel like we've shared anything that really resonated with you, please be sure to write a review. Okay?
First segment.
And the first segment is where we share an A and B side from my life.
Being that we just celebrated Mother's Day,
mm-hmm.
A side is being able to celebrate who you are as a mother, as a wife, being able to, just all the great things that you do for our family. The B side is, wish my mom was here to be able to celebrate that with you as well, because I know y'all relationship, so.
Oh, we starting early, huh?
Hey, I'm being honest. I'm being honest about it, so. What about you?
Okay. Well, my A side was definitely being able to feel loved for my Mother's Day, and to just kind of feel appreciated. And I think I'll keep the little rascals around a little bit longer. I'm not gonna put them out just yet. So that was good. My B side is I think the bad. Okay, so the thing is that we want our kids to grow up. We want our kids to grow up. That's what that's our job as parents. But at the same time, it can be tough sometimes seeing how they're growing up when they look completely different just a year ago, and they behaved differently, and like to see them like growing up, it's like, oh wow, this is happening. So yeah, I think that's my B side of just like realizing like they're being influenced more by their friends, and that I have to let them make mistakes and try things and all that. So it's a little tough.
Work off? What? No, I'm kidding. So our second segment is P2P Share, where we're sharing something we're reading, watching, or listening to. I do it different every time.
Yes.
So what you got?
So I'm going to recommend a show on Netflix. It's called Unlocked, where it's a social experiment about a sheriff, and he's like over a unit, and how he wants to basically treat the inmates more like people. And by doing that would require him to basically to leave the doors open. And this is a facility where this section of the jail is where they have spent most of the time on 23-1, meaning where they're locked behind doors for 23 hours of the day. They only get 1 hour outside, and that's split up with meals. So it was very interesting how just how it plays out. So I highly recommend it, because you want more for them. Like you want them to be able to enjoy some of these benefits that we take for granted, or that So the show takes for granted. I mean, it shows how inmates take for granted some of the liberties that they have, and then it also just, from an outsider, looking in, it also shows how important it is for the small things are, and that things that we think are not that big of a deal on the outside means a whole world inside. And for example, being able to talk to your family. If your family doesn't have money to put on your books or to accept your call, you don't have any contact with your world. And that includes your family, your lawyer.
That's wild.
So it is wild. So just seeing that, and then how that all plays out. So I definitely highly recommend. Highly.
Honestly, for me, what I'm watching this week is really just R&B money. It's, again, I grew up listening to R&B music, so it was like the stories that you actually really get to learn about the artists are incredible, to be honest with you. It's because, I'll say as my younger self, when you looked up to these artists, you looked at them, like they were bigger than life, but then you don't really know all the ins and outs that they've been through, and then even crazy, it's like I'm learning some of these people are my age, and I thought they was way older than me. So I'm just like, what? Like, It's crazy, like, wait, huh? Wait a second. And then some people are younger than me, and I'm jamming to a song. This kid's 12 years old singing a song that a grown person should be singing. And it's like, it's crazy just
That is true.
how it just full circle, just listen. So that's, that's what it's on, it's a podcast with Tank and Jay Valentine. And it's good, because you get to go through, people talk about their experiences. Like they had Casey on there, like Babyface, like just the stories, like.
Oh, Babyface was on it?
Oh yeah, and then stuff that Babyface was saying is like, because I grew up listening to, 70s, even 60s music. I grew up listening to that stuff. So the stuff that he was saying were certain songs, I'm like, get out of here. Like he wrote one song for the Whispers, they didn't want it, and then it went to somebody else. So it's like, it's crazy. Like it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, check it out if y'all want to. So
Okay.
all right. So what you talking about today?
I'm not talking
No,
about
I'm
anything.
kidding.
You're talking about something today.
So yeah, so what we're talking about today is like it's interesting because at one of our premarital counseling sessions, it was there was a conversation with one of the couples, and it was based around coming to the same conclusion, like coming to the same point. That's the easiest way I can say it.
Okay.
And I asked them the question, what is 2 + 4? And it was like 6. I said, okay. What's 3 + 3? It says 6. I said, okay. Didn't we get to the same answer? And it was like, yeah. So it's like, being that we're 2 individuals, we have different experiences. We're gonna have a different way of thinking to get to a certain point. But a lot of times, how I see it is we're getting to the same point. It's just how we're getting to it that sometimes where it brings in the stress, I guess.
Okay.
So yeah, so kind of want to talk about what is it? How do I say it? Different approaches with the same goal, basically. Right?
Okay.
That makes sense or no? Mm-hmm. Why you make that face?
Nothing.
So I guess my question is, can you think about something that we had 2 different thoughts about, but
Everything.
One thing though.
I don't know.
So what about our first conversation?
Which one? Wait, what?
The one that we kind of like had, we had some strong. It was a strong conversation where we both was like, okay, well, I get your point, but
You know I don't remember. What are we talking
the
about?
conversation about spirituality at the time.
That's not our first conversation.
That was one of our first conversations.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
No, we've talked about football and all the other stuff before.
I'm talking about not when people. It was just me and you on the phone. Like I'm not talking with other people, because the
Football thing was me and you on the phone. Yes, it was.
No,
when
you
you
was
first
saying-
proposed.
No, you was hanging out.
No.
Yes, because
No.
I was at Phil's house.
And I was at my brother's apartment.
No, I thought you was with
No.
you was
No.
Oh, I thought that's my bad.
So it was like, no,
That's my bad then. My bad. But
it
yeah.
was like, see, you trying to make me look like my man. Now, I already know my memory bad, but it ain't that bad.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that conversation that we had.
Yes.
So, I guess, do you see, at that moment, we didn't see eye to eye.
Yes.
But do you, I guess now, after 17 years, do you feel that we was basically going to the same, we was getting to the same answer, but it was 2 different routes, basically? Because
I guess I'm not sure I see it that way.
Okay.
Because I don't think we were trying to get to the same goal, unless the same goal was, what was the goal?
Because the goal, like the conversation was about.
I know it was about spirituality.
It was God and the spirituality. Because at the
Yes.
time I was really first learning reading the Bible at that point. So I wasn't
Okay.
as far
Right. No, I
understanding
think we
where
were.
you was at.
Yeah.
So for me, and again, even in that conversation, I know based off what I was reading at the time, the direction I wanted to go. I didn't know at that point. For me, it was just like, I'm spiritual. But the direction I was going was the direction that we was having a conversation about.
Yes. So we weren't talking about spirituality and God. We were talking about religion
Yeah.
and spirituality.
Yeah. That's what it was.
And at that time, so that's why it's like I don't think there was an end goal. Like for me, I see it different. I was trying to get an understanding
Okay.
of what you were saying, and you were trying to get an understanding of what I was saying.
Okay.
So that's what it's like, because at the end of the day, we're still talking about the same. Well, in essence, we talk about the same thing. So that was where the conversation was kind of going.
You said we was talking about the same thing.
I mean, we're just talking about our relationship with God. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was like, so we were still talking about our relationship with God.
Mm-hmm. But that's
Okay.
we still. That's I said earlier that we get into the same.
Well,
goal.
but I'm like, I thought we started off the conversation
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah,
way
yeah,
and
yeah.
ended it the same way. So that's
Yeah.
why I was like, it wasn't like we were working towards commonality or a compromise or something like
Gotcha.
that.
Okay.
So yes, so we had different opinions on the differences, and the way we were able to handle it was based off of, honestly, asking questions to get an understanding of what the other person was trying to say.
Okay. No. Okay. No. That's because that was, I guess, that was we though it was a heated discussion. Mm-hmm. Like you said, we were asking the questions to get an understanding of what each other was thinking about. Mm-hmm. So we, and part of, like, again, what we were doing, communicating.
Yes.
We're communicating our feelings, our beliefs, our thoughts, just so we can actually not so much get on the same page, but get an understanding of where each one is seeing where we're coming from.
Right. But the conversation didn't start there.
Correct.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what typically happens is that when there is a difference of opinion or different approach or whatever, it causes the other person to get defensive of their stance on the thing. And so it could quickly go from like, oh, well, what do you think about this? Into like, oh, I feel like you are either invalid, like, so it comes to all what's going on with that person, right? So do they feel like they are being minimized? Do they feel like just, is the other person like questioning, like, is just questioning me or doubting me, right? So then I'm going to get defensive because I'm going to even stand stronger and harder in how my opinion is right. So then it goes to a conversation of not understanding. It's a conversation of right or wrong.
Yeah.
I'm right, you're wrong, and this is all the ways that you are wrong.
Correct.
And when we initially had that conversation, you were asking me things, and I didn't see it as curiosity at first. At first, I felt like it was an attack.
Okay.
Like, why are you questioning me about this? Also, too, I already said, like, that's how I was raised. That's all I knew. I did not think that I could question.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't question. Like, I couldn't question my parents about that. And I couldn't question church. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Because you're a heathen, you're atheist, like, let's cast all the demons out and all the things out because you're of the world, we got to save you.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, so that's why I was like, I feel like I felt attacked, and that's why I felt I had to try to do even more to defend why I did what I did, why I believe what I believe, and how I believed.
Okay.
And that was the first part of that conversation. That's why I got heated.
No. I remember the conversation because it was, and as I said, I really was literally asking questions because I just didn't know.
Yes. So for me, and that's why it's like you were bringing up something in me personally.
Yeah.
Because you're asking me questions that I felt like I should know the answer to.
Oh, gotcha.
But
Okay.
I didn't because we don't ask questions, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So then I was like, oh man, like, am I really a Christian? Like, because I've been in the church all my life, I should know this stuff, right? I felt like I should have known more.
Okay. Gotcha.
And by not, that must have meant my lack of knowledge must have meant my relationship wasn't as strong.
Okay.
So that's what was going on with me.
Gotcha.
In that moment. So yeah. So as you're continuing and you kept asking questions and stuff, and I'm just like, okay, that's enough. Like, and then that's when my answers became very much like, I know we had talked about this earlier about how we're trying to change the way we parent, and I just said because I said so. So that's kind of how I felt though in that moment. I was like, well, I just said so. Like it is because I said so because that's what we've been told.
Yeah.
So you have to believe what I've been told because I'm telling you,
Gotcha.
and stop asking all these questions.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's how I saw it.
Yeah.
Because we never question, right?
Yeah.
And so in that moment, I'm not really even trying to get an understanding of what you're like. I'm not seeing your questions, your intent as being pure.
Gotcha.
I'm seeing it as like you are trying to come for me. Mm-hmm. And so if you're going to come for me, I'm going to defend myself.
Gotcha.
And so that's where it was at one point. It was like the conversation wasn't going anywhere.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. So I guess in the because we had that conversation again. This is interesting because though I felt a certain way about the conversation and I didn't get that. Like
Yeah.
I like this. That's why I'm leaning this way. I'm listening. Like, wow, this is the first. Like, this is really the first time. Really, because I didn't see that. I saw it as, we had we had a conversation that really was, one that pushed my interest to learn more, and then also not so much to like get on your page, but
Right.
it pushed me more to learn more.
Right.
And to really see God more. And then for me, how I felt, it was like, on your side, I didn't see it as you being angry. It was just like we were trying, I guess we were trying to get to the same goal, but we had two different ways of doing it.
And that's, I guess, why we differ. Because I wasn't trying to win you over to my side.
No, but I wasn't.
So that's why I was like, I don't think we had a common goal.
Gotcha.
So, and maybe if there was more setup of what what we were really like talking about, maybe it wouldn't have gone things.
Okay.
But that's often what happens in communication between romantic partners, is that you both can be in the same conversation, have the same experiences, and experience it completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And because we don't talk about it, we don't bring that up, we don't bring that into the conversation, you then start taking away only your perspective of it.
Okay.
So that's why, it got heated. I mean, I was angry. Well, at the end of the day, I think we both kind of did the same thing, even though it wasn't that wasn't the objective of the conversation. But I felt after we got off the phone, I was like, oh, I need to step my game up. And then I started really questioning, well, why do we do that? Or why do we believe that? Or why do we whatever? And for me, that's when I realized that it was much more about religion than it was about the relationship with God.
Yeah.
And the spiritual connection. And so I then started doing things and start to, dive in and do my own research for myself.
Man, I don't know how to go on because I had one thing, kind of what we was going to talk about.
Well, there we go. This
Man.
is communication.
Man.
Well, because when we talk about it, when we always reference that conversation, it was just like, I think we take away from it. We've always talked about it as our takeaway.
Yeah.
Because what do you say that conversation did for you?
It pushed me to get more in reading, get more of that relationship with God.
And it did the same for me. And that's how we always use that conversation as an example of it.
But that's, yeah.
We never really talked about what actually occurred in the conversation.
Yeah, because now I'm interested. It's like, when did, being that you had, I'm trying to think now, because I'm trying to remember, did we ever talk about it after that?
No.
So we never even brought that up after that conversation?
We always referenced that conversation as being the one that kind of catapulted, y'all know what I'm trying to say, us into having a deeper connection with God. And that's how we've always talked about it. We've never talked about what was actually occurring in the conversation.
Yeah, no.
We always talk about the end result.
That's man. So now that you're talking about it now, how does that make you feel?
What?
Now that we're talking about it, how does it make you feel? Because
I'm curious, because I told you what was going on with me. I'm curious what was going on with you.
I think I kind of said it when I don't know if we said it in the podcast, briefly. For me, that was the first time I realized that how you, lack for a better word, push me. That was the first time, she's, how I felt was she's not letting me just be okay with how I'm doing it now. And like I said, the things that you said, I didn't feel it as being attacked. I felt it more as, you giving me something else I can look at. Because I was coming, I had a blank piece of paper. So for me, I was just going over how I was raised and then the things that I started to learn as I was reading the Bible, So, because, prior to meeting you, it was my cousin was, why don't you open the Bible? And I was like, for what? And then she was like, just open. And that's literally, I didn't have any rhyme or reason of how I read the Bible. Anytime I opened it before I met you, I would just flip it open and just go. And just start wherever I flip it open. It wasn't like I was like, I'm going to start here and just keep reading.
Yeah.
So for me, again, and I'll say this, I was always intrigued about God, but I always disliked the religion part. And that's why even I told you when I was in college, I actually took a religious study course just because I wanted to see, and then I had all the religions in it, and the whole time I'm the way I was asking you questions, I was asking, my questioning wasn't like that at that point in class. I was literally attacking these people because it just didn't make sense to me, and I was attacking. And so when I had a conversation with you, I was in a totally different space, and I was trying to learn. So that's why I was I everything you're saying right now. For me, I was just I felt you was just passionate about it. I didn't see it as attack, and that's why I always say it's that conversation was it was, it was kind of our springboard in our relationship, because I was we can agree to disagree. At that point, I never met anybody that I can have a conversation with, and really, my belief is my belief, your beliefs, and we didn't have to agree about it, but we understood each other and still was able to have a conversation, and then even talk after that, because that, again, for you not being in New York and you being somewhere else, we having this conversation. If that's what I was in my head, I got so many thoughts right now.
I see.
Because the simple fact is if that's how you felt. Why did you continue to talk to me?
So because this is the deal, and this is what we're gonna say. I was raised in the church. I had answers,
Yeah.
and I gave you those answers because
Okay.
I'm well practiced. I'm well, like, you know how I am as a person.
Yeah,
I am
okay.
going to present a certain way, but just because I present that way doesn't mean that's what's really going on, right? This
okay.
is a phone conversation.
Yeah.
So I can be making all the faces and you not see that,
Yeah.
right? Because Zoom wasn't a thing then, right?
No, they had it well, but
Like I
it wasn't
said,
fast.
it was
fast.
Zoom was not a thing. So we're having this conversation, and I'm just like making all the faces, but I have a response.
Yeah.
But my responses were mostly out of religion because that's what I've been taught. That's what I was
Okay.
recited. Like
Gotcha.
as a young kid, like, listen, you in BTU, like, you had to learn scripture.
BTU.
Bible Training University.
Oh, I don't know. You said BTU.
God, don't make me lie.
I was like, I don't know. What
It
that
was
is.
like that's what it was. It was
okay.
like I think it was Bible Training University, something like that.
Okay.
Anyways, y'all, if you know, you know. But because we literally would line the walls of the church, have Bible drills,
Oh, okay.
and you had to flip to the chapter and read, and the first one to read, like, that team will win a point. Like, we would have these battles. We would have to learn, like, I had to learn Psalms 91
So
and recite it.
So you couldn't, like, you didn't have the little sticky things on it. You had to just know.
But you have to know, because even with the tabs, if you have to keep going through the tabs to find it, you don't know the Bible. Because you need to know the books of the Bible.
Okay.
You got to know the books of the Bible, because if you looking for Luke and you at the very beginning, you got to go all the way through the Old Testament to finally get to the New Testament to figure out what Luke at, you ain't going to win. Because we already know, because I know what the Bible is. I mean, I know about Luke is in the New Testament. New Testament is about not halfway. It's a certain way. Like, we learned that stuff.
Wow.
Because we knew what the Bible, we did not do the Bible drills with just any Bible.
Yeah.
Now, when you got down to the championship, they would give you Bible. So that is equal.
Everybody got the same Bible.
So everyone, because only two have the Bible, like, or any tiebreakers, whatever. But this is what we were doing.
Wow,
we were trained. We were
serious.
trained. Yes, we were trained.
Goodness gracious. Woo, man.
We had to, in BTU, we had to, in order to give offering, you had to recite a scripture. That's why Jesus wept was the first scripture I learned. Because I was like, I know this. My mom gave me money because I can't go back. Because I can't go back home with the money. Why do you have the offering that I gave you to put in church?
Okay.
So I had to come up with something.
Yeah.
Jesus wept. Yes. But yeah, so that was drilled into me. I would
Gotcha.
spend all day, my whole life, not even all day, every day at church. And so what you were then questioning, even though I didn't put it out there, you're questioning that. Like, how do you spend all that time and you don't know all this, or you don't know why? And then also, too, because this religion, right? So it's man's interpretation of certain things as to why we do certain things.
Gotcha.
Because that's when you're like, well, why do y'all do that? And why? And I'm like, well, because of course we got to do that, because that, like, duh, like, but, yeah, so I'm like, but then why? So that's why I said it did catapult me, me deepening my relationship with God, not just knowing of God, like really knowing God.
Gotcha.
For myself, like they say. God, I have a whole lot of church sayings. But really knowing the why behind it. And then if not finding it in the Bible, so is that something that man created? And that's why I think we really resonate with our Connect group now, because it is questioning. It's like, well, why? Well, what interpretation, what man interpretation it has caused this to then happen?
Gotcha. Okay.
And so, so that's it.
Okay. Man, I had a totally different produced episode, and we done.
Yeah. But I mean, to kind of circle back,
Yeah.
I know we were kind of taking apart our
Yeah.
conversation. But whenever there's a difference of opinion, like I would say, ask questions. Ask questions as to why. Stop focusing on trying to get your point across. And get more curious as to, well, why? Well, why do you think that? Well, why? And like just really ask more questions to get to the heart of the matter. Because that's at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want to know the other person's heart.
No, that's true.
To really understand their perspective. Then once that occurs, because as you're asking more questions, they're going to ask more. They're going to ask more questions of you.
Yeah.
So that is that exchange. And then now that we know what we understand each other better, now we can come up with a solution that will actually work for both of us.
Correct.
Because it's not personal, and I know we said this over and over again about how we often take things personally when it's not that.
Yeah.
Things are going on in that person that are being brought up, and
That one probably didn't expect.
that either didn't expect, and this might be the first time because, like I didn't say, but you asking those questions was the first time that anyone's ever asked those questions of me.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, oh, okay, so he is truly different. Okay.
Crazy. Yeah.
Well, I was just like different. Like I said, I didn't have those kind of conversations with whatever. And I don't know if it was because I had dated other people who were also kind of like not really raised in church, but they were very familiar with church and church culture.
Gotcha.
And so they kind of made some assumptions.
Okay.
Because you can generally, for Black church, you can make some general assumptions, and then each church might have some tweaks to it, but generally, there's like this culture, right?
Yeah.
So I guess I just kind of assumed that you would have it, but you were like and that's like your background was just different, and because you asked those questions of me, I was just like, oh wait, this is the answer, but I'm not exactly sure why. But let me go figure that out.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And that's why now I truly know the difference between religion and spirituality.
Yeah.
I know where that line crosses. And I get to choose what religious things that I'm going to uphold as long as it aligns with what I feel like was my, my relationship with God. So.
Man, okay.
Because I mean, and y'all, it would be something as simple as celebrating Halloween, Easter. Like, it was just like, it's a lot of the traditions.
I remember asking that, yeah.
So it was just like, we went from something like that to then like, to deeper stuff. But it was just like, that's what I was taught. That's what I saw. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So.
Man. Well, I enjoyed this conversation because this is not, again, this is not what, I ain't got nothing else because this was very interesting conversation, man. Man. So, but like, again, I don't even have a marriage events tip because you okay, then go ahead.
So I think the marriage events tip is to, in those, when you're having those intimate conversations, to seek understanding first, before trying to provide advice or trying to provide a solution.
Or get your point across.
Yeah, but I think it's more like if I'm curious and I'm trying to get an understanding of where you're coming from, you're trying to get an understanding of me, then that way we can then, once we get that understanding, we can come up with a solution, or I can give you advice.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because if we ask those questions, I really know where you're coming from. I know if you want advice or not.
Yeah.
Or it could have been like you just wanted me to understand where you were coming from.
Okay.
Because it's a whole nother thing. But I think I know that if you just seek an understanding, and if it's getting heated, I would ask yourself, what about what is being said that is making me feel this way, making me feel attacked?
Okay.
Because the majority of the time, your partner is not trying to attack you, right? Y'all are in this together.
Yeah.
So if I'm feeling attacked, what is that?
Yeah.
And it can be in the middle of that conversation, be like, wait, hold on, let's just pause, because I'm starting to feel attacked.
Yeah.
Now I need to know, and it's like in that moment seeking clarification. Like, so are you challenging me? Like,
Yeah.
or are you trying to like push, like what's going on here?
Gotcha. Okay. No, you're right.
Because we can't, and that helps in keeping the main thing the main thing. I feel like this advanced tip is just adding on to it. But it helps keep the main thing the main thing, because if I'm feeling attacked, then I'm getting defensive, and then I might then hit below the belt, and now we're spiraling, right?
Yeah,
Instead of addressing, hey, I'm feeling attacked, or even if hey, I see you sound like you're getting defensive.
Yeah.
So let's just pause. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
Like, addressing that to then be able to talk about the main thing.
Gotcha.
So,
no, that's good. That's good.
that's all I gotta say.
All right. Well, didn't expect that. So, anyhow, as always, like, follow, share,
Review,
subscribe,
and
review.
review.
Yes, and review.
Yes.
And man, I'm just gonna say until next week.
Because remember, the real work begins at I do.
Peace.